ladies, let me tell you something that most men won't say out loud. But I'm going to say it because I've lived long enough, I've talked to enough brothers, and I've made enough mistakes myself to know this one. Men don't fear your beauty. They don't fear your independence. They don't even fear your success. What men really fear? Let me tell you something that's going to sound real simple, but it's powerful if you catch it. Your standards are not the problem. I know sometimes people try to make you feel like you're asking for too much. Let's say you're being extra, or you're too picky, or that your expectations are unrealistic. But let me be real with you. Your standards are your protection. They're the fence that keeps out the nonsense. And when you start compromising on them just to keep somebody around, you don't end up with peace. See, a lot of women out here got tricked into thinking that if you want a man, you got to shrink yourself. Like somehow having values and expectations is going to scare all the good men away. No, baby. It only scares the wrong ones. The men who walk when you hold firm are the ones who never intended to stay. That's a blessing. Not a law. Standards tell a man everything he needs to know. They say you can't just come in here and say anything, do anything, and expect me to go along with it. They say, you're not going to disrespect me and still have access to me. So they say, I know who I am, and I know what I bring to the table. So if you're coming to sit here, you better come correct. Now, I'm not saying you got to be cold or rude or closed off. That's not what high standards are. High standards just mean you're not settling for less than you deserve. You can be kind and still have boundaries. You can be loving and still say, no, that doesn't work for me. And the right man, he won't just accept your standards. He'll appreciate them. He'll rise to meet them because a real man wants a woman who inspires him to be better, not one who makes it easy to stay lazy. Listen and break this down for you. With something I've seen over and over, I know women who keep lowering the bar just to make a relationship work. They start out strong saying, I want a man who communicates. I want a man who respects my time. But then here comes some smooth-talking brother who's cute, funny, and inconsistent. And instead of walking away, she starts saying, well, maybe he's just busy. Maybe he's not good at texting. Maybe I'm expecting too much. Oh, no, you're not expecting too much. You're just expecting it from the wrong man. Listen, look, I'm not saying men don't have potential, but potential don't pay the bills. Potential don't build a partnership. You can't build a life with a man's intentions. You build it with his actions. First thing is you want a man who shows up, who follows through, who doesn't just talk about what he could be, but who proves who he is. And your standards. They help you separate the real from the fake. The more you remember the truths, the more you stick to your standards, the more respect you get. Men might not always like it at first because, yeah, it challenges them. It makes them think, dang, I can't just slide through like I usually do. That's the ones who are serious. They see your standards as a gift because it means they know what the rules are. It means you've got vision, values, and a backbone. And I'm telling you, real men respect that. Some men fear your standards because they know they're not ready to step up. That's not your fault. That's not your burden. You weren't put here to babysit a man's growth. You were put here to build something beautiful with someone who's ready to build with you. And if your standards help weed out the ones who aren't ready, that's just God doing quality control on your behalf. First, you're not hard to love. You're just not easy to fool. That's a powerful difference. And when you really believe that, you stop chasing, you stop begging, you stop explaining why you need what you need. You just live it. You just embody it. And the right one, he'll see it, he'll feel it, and he'll match it. If someone tells you your standards are too high, tell them this: they're not too high. They're just not for you. That's it. Keep your head up. Keep your standards firm and watch how peace starts replacing the drama. It's because your standards don't push love away. They make room for the right kind of love to show up. Let me tell you something that's been true since the beginning of time. Men do not value what comes easy. That's not a knock on women. It's just how we're wired. See, when something costs us nothing, we treat it like it's nothing. But when we've had to work for it, earn it, fight for it, sacrifice for it. We value it, we protect it, we hold on to it. That's just how we operate. It's in our nature. Now, I know some of y'all have heard this the wrong way. You hear men say, oh, I want a woman who's easygoing, fun, low maintenance, and you think that means you got to stop requiring effort from him. They think that means you got to be available all the time. Say yes to everything, never challenge him, never ask for more. But I'm here to tell you that's the fastest way to become unappreciated and taken for granted. A woman who makes a man work for her time, her attention, and especially her heart. That's a woman who gets respect. I'm not talking about playing games. I'm not talking about pretending to be somebody you're not. I'm talking about having enough self-worth to say, you don't just get access to me because you showed up. You earn that by how you treat me. That's when a man sees that you don't give your energy to just anybody. He watches how he steps. He watches what he says. He comes correct because he realizes you are not an open door. You are a woman with value, and value don't sit on the discount shelf. He's got to show up with integrity. He's got to be consistent. He's got to be intentional. Let me tell you a little something from my own experience. The women I valued the most weren't the ones who made it easy for me. They were the ones who made me grow. They were the ones who made me think. First, they were the ones who didn't laugh at every joke just because I told it. They had standards, they had boundaries. They had goals, and they made me step up to meet them. That's the kind of woman a man remembers. That's the kind of woman a man respects. Listen, this, men are built for challenge. We thrive on it. You ever notice how a man will chase a job, a deal, a dream, a goal for years with no guarantee? Because we want the reward. Because we want to conquer. So why should love be any different? If you make it too easy for us, we assume it must not be worth much. It's harsh, but it's real. But when we have to invest, when we have to prove ourselves, it's like if a man goes to a jewelry store and buys a diamond for $50, he's not locking that thing in a safe. He might toss it in a drawer. But if he spends $10,000, he's keeping it in a box. He's getting it in a box. He's getting it insured. He's making sure nobody touches it. That's why. Because the cost created the value. Is the same with relationships. What we work for, we protect. What we struggle for, we cherish. What we build with our hands, we honor with our heart. Now, I'm not saying make a man jump through unnecessary hoops. I'm not saying treat him like a job interview. I'm saying make sure he earns his place in your life. Don't rush the process. Let him show you who he is. Just let him pursue you. Let him prove himself. You don't have to chase a real man. He'll show up with effort. He'll show up with actions, not just words. Just know what the problem is nowadays. Too many people want instant relationships. Microwave love, nobody wants to build anymore. But love that lasts has to be built. It's got to be earned, not given away for free. This thing that starts with how you teach people to treat you. If a man knows he can ghost you and come back and still get the same version of you, he'll never take you seriously. But if he knows that your love is valuable, your peace is priceless, and your time is not guaranteed, he'll move differently. I've seen women bend over backwards trying to prove their wife material. Cooking, cleaning, helping him with his business, praying for him. And the man hasn't even claimed her. He hasn't even shown up for her in basic ways. Let me tell you, a man doesn't marry a woman because she did the most. He marries the woman he respects the most. He marries the woman who made him become a better man. The one who didn't settle for his potential but demanded his presence. Sister, don't be afraid to require effort. Don't be scared to say that's not enough. Because when a man truly wants you, he'll rise to the occasion, he'll listen, he'll learn, he'll grow, and the work he puts in. That's the foundation of real love. Ladies, you are not asking too much. You are asking the right man to give what he should already be offering. Let him work for you. Not because you're playing hard to get, but because you know you're worth the effort. Let's remember tell you something real plain. Some men are not afraid of commitment. They're not even afraid of you. What they're really afraid of is accountability. That's the truth. It ain't your beauty, it ain't your brilliance, it ain't your success. It's that you hold up a mirror, you require them to look at themselves, to take responsibility, to grow. And a lot of men, they ain't ready for that kind of pressure. See, there's a difference between wanting a relationship and being ready for one. Anybody can want to be loved, and anybody can want to be held. Anybody can want to be texted good morning and cuddled at night. But when it comes time to show up, to be dependable, to be honest, to grow through conflict, to be corrected without acting defensive. That's where the fear shows up. That's where the boys get separated from the men. Listen, I'm not saying women are perfect and men are the only ones we're growing to do. No, that ain't what this is about. But I am saying this, a woman who knows who she is and what she deserves automatically becomes a mirror for a man. You can't be around a strong, clear, confident woman and not feel the pressure to be more than average. And for a man who's been getting by on charm, excuses, and bare minimum effort, that's terrifying. Does you ever notice how when you call man out on his inconsistency, he flips it and says you're too sensitive? Or when you tell him he's not showing up emotionally, he says you're nagging. Or when you ask him to have a real conversation, he disappears for 3 days. That's not because you're wrong. That's because accountability feels like confrontation when a man hasn't grown. And instead of doing the work, he runs from it. Here's the thing, real accountability isn't an attack. It's an invitation. When you say, hey, I need you to communicate better, that's not a weapon. That's an opportunity. When you say, I need more consistency, you're not criticizing him. You're giving him the chance to rise. This is the right man. The grown man, he won't run from that. He'll lean into it. He'll say, you know what? You're right. Let me do better. But the wrong man, the immature man, he'll make you feel guilty for even asking. See, ladies, when you love yourself, you stop tolerating confusion. You stop accepting half effort. And that makes people uncomfortable, especially the ones who benefit from your silence. That's when you stop letting things slide. When you stop sugarcoating your needs, when you stop playing cool just to keep the peace, the people who are never serious about you will start backing away. And let me tell you, that's not a loss. That's a filter. But some men fear accountability because they've never been required to grow. They've been told they're good enough just the way they are, and maybe they are for somebody who doesn't require much. Because you're different. You require growth, you require honesty. You require healing, you require effort, and that's not too much. That's maturity. A woman who holds a man accountable is a woman who sees his potential, but refuses to settle for his excuses. And sometimes that's the scariest thing in the world for a man. Because when you expect more, you automatically expose what he hasn't dealt with. His insecurities, his pride, his lack of discipline, his fear of failure, it all comes to the surface when he's around a woman who won't let him hide behind smooth talk and temporary effort. Because you can't water yourself down just to make someone else feel comfortable. That's not love. That's sacrifice. And not the kind of sacrifice that leads to partnership, the kind that leads to resentment. You weren't put here to mother a grown man into maturity. You were put here to be a partner to someone who's already on the path to becoming better. Listen, I'm not saying don't have grace. I'm not saying expect perfection. We all got flaws. We all make mistakes. But there's a big difference between someone who makes a mistake and owns it and someone who makes a mistake and blames you for noticing. The first one is teachable. The second one is toxic. As a man walks away because you ask for more communication, more honesty, more effort, let him walk. Don't chase him. Don't beg him to stay. Because if accountability makes him run, he was never going to stay when life got real. He was only there for convenience, not commitments. Those of you deserve someone who listens when you speak. Someone who doesn't get offended when you tell the truth. Someone who sees feedback as fuel, not as fire. That takes a grown man who's done his own healing, who's worked on himself, and who welcomes correction. Not because you're perfect, but because he values your voice. Don't stop holding that mirror up. Don't stop speaking the truth. Because the right man, he won't run from your reflection. He'll use it to become the man he was meant to be. Has he ever been told you too much, too emotional, too opinionated, too independent, too successful, too loud, too strong, too confident? Just too much of something. Let me tell you something right now. The problem is that the people saying it are too little. And when people are too small to handle your full self, they'll try to convince you to shrink. Don't fall for that. See, when a woman walks in her full power, it exposes a lot in the people around her. Her light shines so bright, it makes insecure folks feel like they're standing in the dark. And instead of stepping into their own growth, they want you to dim yours. But your light ain't the problem, you hear me? It's their sunglasses that don't fit. A woman who knows her worth, speaks her mind, owns her body, protects her peace, chases her dreams, and calls out nonsense when she sees it, that woman intimidates the wrong kind of man. Not because she's doing something wrong, but because she's doing everything right. She doesn't play small. She doesn't chase validation. She doesn't wait around hoping to be chosen. She chooses herself. And baby, that kind of energy will either attract the right one or offend the ones who ain't ready. This down for you, a man is not secure in himself. He won't know what to do with a woman who doesn't need him. That don't mean you don't want love. That don't mean you don't want a partner. But there's a difference between needing someone to complete you and wanting someone to compliment you. And when you show up whole, confident, and fulfilled, it takes a man who's done his own work to appreciate that. Otherwise, he'll feel like he's in competition with you. And you're not even playing the same game. Now, ladies, don't you ever let someone convince you that shrinking makes you more lovable. Shrinking only makes you more invisible to the one who's supposed to see you. You're not here to play small, to quiet your voice, to dim your brilliance so some insecure man can feel taller next to you. Love that demands you to be less is not love. It's control, and you weren't created to be controlled. You were created to be cherished. There's too much for someone. It's not your cue to change. It's your cue to leave the room. Because the right man, he won't try to tone you down. He'll be drawn to your fire. He won't be afraid of your ambition. He'll cheer it on. He won't shrink when you speak your truth. He'll lean in closer to listen. He won't see your independence as a threat. He'll see it as an inspiration. Just because he's not looking for a woman to fix or to mold. He's looking for a woman to build with. Because there are too many women out here turning themselves into versions of what they think men want. Quieter, smaller, less successful, less direct. Thinking that's the key to love. But truth's the truth. Whatever version of yourself you pretend to be to get a man, that's the version you'll have to maintain to keep him. And that's exhausting. That's fake. And it never works in the long run. Because you want a love where you can be fully you. A love where your strength is celebrated, not tolerated. A love where your past doesn't scare him, your dreams don't intimidate him, and your voice doesn't threaten him. Because you want a man who hears you too much and says, that's exactly what I've been waiting for. Because real men, they don't want a woman they can control. They want a woman who inspires them to be greater. And that takes courage. It takes maturity. That takes confidence, not just in you, but in himself. You tell you too much for the wrong ones. Because when the right one comes along, he's not going to ask you to be less. He's going to love you more for everything you are. Your fire. Your flaws, your faith, your voice, all of it, he's going to say, give me all of you. Not just the version you think I can handle. Because the right man doesn't want the watered down version. He wants the real thing. Because too many women are hiding behind politeness, behind perfectionism, behind people pleasing. And all it's doing is attracting people who benefit from your silence. But your power, you're too much. That's what makes you unforgettable. That's what protects you from the ones who were never supposed to sit at your table. Just to let them say you're too much. Let them say you're hard to handle. That just means you're worth holding on to. Because anything easy to get is easy to lose. But a woman who challenges, who grows, who stands strong in her truth, that's a woman who's irreplaceable.